All right.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm ready to roll.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the MOGL podcast. Welcome back if you have listened before. Welcome to all of our new listeners. We hope that with this new structure that, we're going to bring a lot of excitement, new energy, new excitement to this podcast. We have a new co-host who I'm excited about going into 2024. Obviously, I've been running this podcast for the last year and a half, but I think we have an opportunity to follow suit with a lot of the biggest podcasts in the industry of sports, and having a co-host, having more fluid conversations around sports. Tommy's one of the biggest sports fans, sports fanatics that I know. I think it flows in the blood of all Philadelphia people. But my name is Brandon Wimbush. I'm one of the co-founders here at MOGL. I'm excited to welcome Tommy Marlowe, who is head of content, head of social media strategy here at MOGL. You can introduce yourself, Tommy, but again, I'm excited to have you as a co-host heading into 2024.
Yeah, super excited for this. As Brandon said, I run social media here at MOGL, but yeah, this is it's gonna be awesome. So let's get it going.
Yeah,
let's get it rolling.
Tommy, you've kind of put me on to the sports podcast game, right? You told me kind of take listen into some of the few people out there, but who do you think has really dominated this space and has this type of co-host structure?
I guess from a co-host structure standpoint, you got to look at the Kelsey brothers. They're just New Heights is killing it. They're letting you in that personal life. I mean, obviously Travis is a movie star at this point. Everyone knows Taylor Swift. She's literally a movie star. She's a pop star, world renowned. And it's funny because everyone in the football world, sports world, knows Travis Kelce. But when they started dating, it was like, oh, this football player that Taylor Swift's dating.
Right.
But it's just cool because you get to see I've known Jason Kelce's the coolest dude ever. Like if you're from Philly. So
yeah.
And he's just the most personal guy ever. His wife is awesome. Like you just get to see the insides of these awesome players, and they let you in. They're so personable. They're just normal people.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they're killing it, and they're funny too. Like they're very funny people, which is just an added benefit. And but another person, not so much. This kind of style, but I just love Pat McAfee. Everything that he does, everything he puts out, I talk about it. Probably my friends are getting sick of how much I talk about Pat McAfee and all he does. He's killing it, and
he's everywhere,
dude. I mean, he's just everything he's doing for sports media is just changing the culture around it, and I can't say enough about it. I think it's so good. Like I hate how structured sports media is and how ESPN is so everything has to be perfect and you can't say anything wrong, and Pat is that one guy who's not afraid to say the things that people are afraid to say. So
right.
Yeah, I love him for that. And then obviously everything that Barstool Sports puts out is hilarious and it's good.
Yeah.
And they're the common man, as they like to say. So yeah.
For sure. And I think another good co-hosting podcast platform out there is All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson and some of the guests that they have. But I think the way, and for people who are new here, what MOGL is, what we are running at MOGL and building at MOGL is one of the leading name, image, and likeness platforms connecting college athletes to brands for endorsement and influencer marketing campaigns. We've worked with large companies such as Toyota, DoorDash, Activision Blizzard, who's the parent company to Call of Duty, and Crash Bandicoot, and we've worked with athletes from Dorian Thompson-Robinson to Alyssa Bauman, who's one of the biggest gymnasts down at Florida, to Monet Davis, who people might remember from the Little League World Series. Right there in Philly. So we're excited about the progress that we've made and what we've been able to build over the last 3.5 years. But we want this platform, right, Tommy, to be a place where we can talk about all things sports, but primarily college sports, college athletics, the NCAA, championship games,
Right.
Obviously name, image, and likeness, and we'll have guests on. We'll have guests on at different periods of time, but for now, it's going to be Tommy and myself, and we want to be able to bring you guys information that you wouldn't be able to gather elsewhere.
Let's just kick it off with last night. My as we were talking pre-show, my bet did not go as planned. I was heavily favoring the Huskies last night. I thought that Penix would pull it out. But that Michigan O-line, man, it was just unreal. Every single play, they were just 3 yards, 4 yards, just pounding the rock. And then it would just, boom, that number 7, I can't remember his name, but
Edwards.
Yeah, Edwards. Just a couple big plays, man. But it just, even after that, like, it just seemed like at half, Washington was still in it. They still had a chance.
Yeah.
There's too many mistakes, man.
Down
like that
7.
holding penalty. They had the 32-yard play, and they get the holding call on them, and just drop balls, overthrows. Like,
yeah,
you can't have that many mistakes in a national championship game and expect to win. So,
yeah, it just felt like pure dominance up front from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, Edwards obviously found a seam in that first long run, bounced, hit the hold. There was nothing there, escaped, bounced out, and went, 46 yards or whatever it was. And I mean, more than that, right? More than the 3 to 4 yards. I thought they were getting chunk runs on every run from the start. Especially the first half. It was just like 8, 12, 30.
Such big holes.
And it speaks volumes really to what they've been able to establish up front, but then also the depths of the backs that the Michigan Wolverines have. So kudos to what they've built.
A buddy of mine before the game, he goes, I was at the gym before the game, and you guys going into the locker room, he goes, Michigan. And me and him both had Washington. Michigan's O-line, man, they're just different. Me pregame, I'm just, what does he know? He's got. That's just something that somebody who thinks they know ball.
Somebody, it's one of those natural, just like, I saw this on ESPN. Right. I'm just gonna. This is my opinion now.
You don't know nothing, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my god, this dude. He was probably right. Yeah. He probably did a little more research than I did. But
I mean, and their defensive seven, like their front seven on the defensive side. I mean, that's what I was more worried about. I really wasn't worried about the secondary for Michigan. I thought, like you said, Penix would come in and light it up. Even he was ski masked up coming into the stadium. I don't know if you saw that, but it was just kind of like, it's like this guy's gonna go for like 350. He's not taking any bullshit.
No, when I saw that, I was like, I texted my boy. I was like, we are winning. This dude is a cold MFer. Like, he is locked in.
Yeah.
He's rapping to himself. He's got the ski on. Yeah. I'm like, oh, man. They are in for it. But then it's just like, it's tough. I don't know. You got to go on the field and perform. So, I don't know. It's a 11-man game. So, one man can't do it all.
Right. Could have used some help out wide. What do you think about his draft stock after? You think that affects it much or not really?
Yeah, I mean, that's, he's older too, right? So he's a 6-year player. And he's got 2 ACLs. He got pretty banged up in that game too. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You've been through the process. What does it look like for him?
I think he is one of the most efficient passers that we've seen recently come out of college football. So I think when you consider the game that we're playing these days at the NFL level, obviously a lot of the weight falls on the quarterback being able to throw and be effective in the pocket, as well as outside the pocket. But I think he's done such a good job. I think there was this crazy stat that I heard that he's only been sacked 11 times this year, right? So, and although it speaks volumes to what's going on up front, right, and the greatness they've established there, it also says a lot about his pocket presence and the ability to escape rush and navigate it. I think we saw that last week in the playoff game where he ducked he ducked the rusher and then stepped up in the pocket and delivered a strike to the guy over the middle. So,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be excited about.
That's one thing about
I think
Penix.
this draft class is deep.
Is he will? Sorry to cut you off. That's one thing about Penix is like last night even he just finds a way to like step up out of nowhere and just fling the ball like 30 yards.
Yeah.
Just put his head up, step up, boom, throw it, and it's just like boom, right on the dot. Like I don't know if there was one play last night where it was down the sideline, and he almost got sacked. There was big pressure, and he just threw it up down the sideline. It was literally a dot, but this. His receiver kind of had like two guys in the area, and he kind of alligator armed it a little bit, and he just I was like, dude, if he puts his hands in the air, I mean, it's easier said than done in the moment, but if he puts his hands in the air, he's gonna catch that ball. It's just his accuracy is wild.
It's ridiculous. So I think that you can't overlook that as a scout. And I heard a lot about his leadership ability. So I think he sits high. I think this year put him up, as one of the top. Maybe 5 guys that will go off the quarterback board this year. So I know his class is deep, but I think he has a good shot.
For sure.
And you get to watch a guy longer, right? Like you get to watch somebody like even J.J. McCarthy for more games, and you get more eyes on him, right? Like when you play more games, it obviously helps, and you perform well. It helps your draft stock, right? Because you're the only ones on TV. So. I guess speaking about him, what did you think about his play?
Coming into this season, I didn't think much of him. Right, I honestly thought he was probably second or third best quarterback in the Big Ten, and that's probably hot.
Behind who?
Probably behind. I thought Allar was going to have a really big season, to be honest. Yeah, and I thought Kyle. Kyle played really well, but I thought, wins are wins, but. Yeah, he just proved me completely wrong. He played really well and worked his way into a draft spot now, I assume.
For sure.
I also thought he was way smaller. Like, he just looks so
big?
I think he's like 6 foot something. I don't know. He just looks so small on the field, and the way that he like operates, I don't know.
Yeah. He's like a different type of guy. Like I think he has a lot of growing to do to be a good NFL, especially the way he throws the ball. He throws every ball like a freaking rocket. Mm-hmm. And you really.
Do you think he doesn't have like that arm strength, that natural arm strength?
No, I think he does have decent arm strength. I think you have to be able to like throw the ball with touch.
Right.
Like a guy like Matthew Stafford can really change the trajectory of a ball and place it where he needs to place it and throw with timing. So I think that will be JJ's biggest room for improvement heading into next year.
I love and I know you're probably big on this too. I love his whole
his mental thing.
Yeah, the way he treats. No, it's true though. It's big. I like how he treats his mental. He takes it very seriously, and that is like. Especially as a quarterback at such a big, in such a big university, like you gotta have your mental right. You're gonna be put in those situations at a lot of time, in tough positions all the time. So,
did you see when he was on the sideline with his mental, the sports psychologist that the team had?
Yeah, I did see that. And that was cool. Yeah. So I think like taking that super seriously nowadays is just one extra thing that's putting you ahead of another guy,
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
But I did think it was funny him wearing like the khakis with going like barefoot at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
You see that? Looks goofy.
Before the game.
Yeah.
No, I think that's an important topic that we can cover, right? And maybe not for this episode, but just mental health, and especially for a guy who has so much pressure on his back. And I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and she was just, how old are these kids and how much pressure, I don't even know the numbers, but probably 15 million people tuned into the game to watch, 18 to 22-year-olds compete. But so, it is real, but as an athlete, as a quarterback, you're kind of immune to that type of, not immune to it, but immune to the people obviously in the stadium. You really don't hear much going on until after the game, because you're so locked in. But The mental part of it, especially the quarterback position, is definitely one that can set you apart from some of the other other peers, especially at the college level, because not a lot of people take it that seriously.
Yep.
But JJ obviously does, so I'm sure that trickles through the locker room.
So
Coach Harbaugh,
yeah,
did you see? Obviously, his family. Did you see the whole story? Were you watching pregame where they were highlighting him and John's relationship and their father Jack?
Yeah. How about
cool.
how similar him and his dad look? Like his dad is
Like
a
twins.
spitting image. Did you say that
Twins.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling you.
I saw it. I was watching it last night and I was like, holy crap. Like, you are not kidding.
Yeah.
He looks exactly like that is what John Harbaugh is going to look like.
20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, they can't stop asking him about it, but he's like just avoiding it at all costs. Harbaugh. So that to me is he's not staying. And what does he have to do? At Michigan, he's done everything. He's beat Ohio State 3 times. He's now won a national championship. He's proven everything he's got to proven, or he has to prove. So yeah, I don't see. I think all he has to do now is go win a Super Bowl to complete that resume for himself, and I think that's all he wants to do. And
so John is the one who won it with the Ravens in like 14?
Yeah, do I keep getting their names mixed up?
No. Jim is the one at Michigan.
Okay.
But I was just curious which one won it with Flacco, and I guess that was John. I didn't know he's been there for. That must mean he's been there for at least 10 years more.
Easily,
John,
yeah.
I'm thinking of the guy in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean he's been the Ravens coach since I can remember. I mean I grow up. He's the Ravens coach, So he's been there forever.
Yeah. Maybe 15 plus years. Yeah.
Same with Tomlin.
But no, yeah, I agree with you. I think what was funny, I saw a graphic this morning or recently just about Jim's first 6 years at Michigan and his resume against Ohio State is 0-6. Mm-hmm. No Big Ten titles.
I'm just curious what the difference is. Like what changed
from the last 6 to this previous 3. He's 3-0 against Ohio State, 1 Big Ten title, and I think or more Big Ten titles, and now a national championship. I don't know if they cleared house, right? Obviously, when we were at Notre Dame, that was the ultimate that was the big change in 2017 that Coach Kelly just said, all right, we're clearing house, new energy into the building. I'm not sure, man. I think that was the year that maybe not the year that they went to Jordan. I think they've been Jordan for a long time. But
it's funny you say that because Desmond Howard was on the college football show yesterday, and he was like, "This all started when they switched to Jordan Brand."
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe that is what happened. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe,
but he was also like, "This will be the first Jordan Brand team to win a national championship." I don't know what significance that has, but yeah.
I don't know either. But I'm sure they get. Did you see the box? This is going off on a tangent, but did you see the Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter?
Oh my
Stephen A.
God,
Smith,
dude, that was hilarious.
Travis Scott.
I'm just seeing Stephen A. dapping up Michael Jordan. I just see all these ridiculous people. Yeah. You just know Stephen A. is going to be starting his stuff on First Take this morning, so I had to tune in. But
of course, but I think the benefits, right? That's a great question, but obviously just visibility and eyes on the brand, right? On the Jordan brand.
Yeah.
A return on investment. Obviously, it's a great story to have. I would love to understand the qualitative benefits that playing in the national championship with your logo, but it's a great story to have. They can say that they've been in the national championship, have won a national championship. They're the first, this is the first Jordan team to win a national championship. Nike's been in all the previous 10 national champ, or whatever it was, right? When you think about the college football playoff.
Yeah.
But so I and one of my good buddies, Sean Crawford, mentioned on Twitter, he was like, it seems like you have to be a Nike school because Jordan's obviously related, with Nike. but you have to be a Nike school to win the national championship. It was like Notre Dame dropped UA, but
Did they?
No, he's just saying
He's
like
saying
Notre
they,
Dame needs
they
to drop.
should. Yeah, that's fine.
Hey guys, quick 2 jobs and 2 opportunities on the Mogul platform. The first is with one of the most well-known gas stations and convenience stores in the world. Circle K is offering a campaign that ranges with a compensation between $500 and $1,500 for specific athletes who meet a social media following criteria. They're asking that you post one IG reel or TikTok and repost that IG or reel or TikTok to your IG story. And you guys are easily just and simply promoting a drink product that you're able to choose when you enter into one of your local Circle K stores. The other job is Liquid IV, who's been an exciting partner and we're grateful to have our relationship with Liquid IV for the past 7 months. They'll send you free product each month at the beginning of the month, and you're asked to post 3 Instagram stories. We ask that you be creative, be excited about the product, and obviously stay hydrated. Under Armour.
No, I like Under Armour stuff. I like all the.
Do you?
I mean, I don't buy their like clothing. Like I buy Nike clothing, but I like Under Armour's like the Notre Dame shit that they put out. I like that. Like I actually bought the shoes. I got them right.
Did you?
Those slip-on shoes. I bought those.
Those are the Sam Hartmans.
Yeah, those. Yep. Yep. Yeah. But going back to Harbaugh, what he said, before the game, in the press conference about the revenue share for players, and his comments there. What did you think about that? And I'll just have the floor there.
I think those comments came after the news about ESPN and NCAA's deal.
True.
I think it did, right? And so
we can get into that.
For those who don't know, ESPN inked the media deal with the NCAA, or vice versa. The NCAA inked the media deal with ESPN to have domestic rights over roughly 41 championships sports that are governed by the NCAA. And so that deal was valued at just under $1 billion, I think to be exact, $920 million. And Jim Harbaugh, obviously being interviewed a lot this week, came out and said that, this is still us taking what the athletes are earning and what they're, what they should be earning, right? Like what what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
this is they're on.
It's what they deserve,
yeah.
Right? It's what they deserve. And so
what we were talking about yesterday, it's tough to. My understanding is, they should be getting that. Like if the TV money is this much, right, they should be getting that chunk. But if you
a piece,
right, but if you take away that piece, you got to take away. It's taken away. What I didn't understand is it's going to be taken away from the staff in some
other staff members,
in some way, shape, or form. So there has to be a way, where it all makes sense, where everybody gets an equal, like nobody's gypped, everybody gets what they deserve. There's plenty of money to go around, I promise you that. Especially in some of these college football, college basketball. So I just think that the leadership right now at the NCAA level is just awful, and until somebody, the amount of times I've heard, until we get somebody in there who knows what they're doing, but it's true, until you get somebody in there who's not a complete idiot or not 75 or ready to retire. I don't know what it is, get those people out of those positions, man. Get somebody young and somebody who knows what they're who has the best interest of the athletes in mind, like it's just kind of it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
We should see a little bit of a turn with Charlie Baker, who's the new NCAA president. He took over, I think, early 2023, maybe March of this year, but has a congressional background. So like when it comes to these laws and legislation being put in place, like he's the guy that has the relationships at Capitol Hill, for us to kind of push things forward in favor of athletes, right? So, we're excited about that. I think this money and the revenue sharing conversation is definitely important and a big one for us to have. And like you said, it takes away a little bit from the staff, but when you think about the amount of money that's being distributed to these schools and from this deal, the athletes are the ones who are driving this revenue, right? Like they're the ones deriving this amount of money for these types of deals because they're the product,
right?
And the big thing that I always say here, Tommy, is when you think about any other demographic or any other industry in the world, there's no industry where the people who are working and providing a service are not being compensated. That's it. There's no other industry.
Yeah.
And the NCAA and college athletics is really the only industry where these athletes are just not getting paid, and so it's it falls into antitrust laws and all that jazz.
Yeah, it gets really sticky at that point with the whole salary and amateurism,
being an employee, benefits,
all of that. It just gets very, but it's all a matter of time before it comes to fruition,
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on this, right, is like Charlie Baker proposed a new structure for NIL, and it involves a $30,000 per year per athlete, essentially a trust fund. And I don't want to say that it's only for the Power 5 conferences, but I think it's for everybody. I have to do my research here again. I don't want to sound like I know what I'm talking about when I'm quoting something that's not correct, but I know he proposed something new that would grant college athletes $30,000 a year in trust fund dollars. So there's new energy again within the NCAA that I think we could be excited about. But
that's good. It's good to hear.
Conversation to continue on that end, but I think where we want to go next is kind of women's sports, and I think specifically this deal for me, Tommy, highlighted ESPN and Disney's support of women's sports. I think they saw what especially women's basketball can do in media and the eyes that it can draw and how it's growing.
Yeah.
And I think this deal value had a lot to do with that growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they saw the success of the 2023. I mean, just women's sports in 2023 as a whole. I wanted to say just the tourney, the March Madness last year. I mean, you could attribute it a lot to Caitlin Clark. I mean, even now, this flash forward this year, 40 points a game. She's putting up buzzer beaters. But she's a beast. She's a beast. But the fact of the matter is, you put sports on, people are going to watch it. It doesn't really matter what it is. If it's a competition.
You're watching a softball game?
Right, yeah, I'm watching a softball game. If it's 5-5 in the bottom of the sixth and you got a couple people on, it's competitive, it's top 5 teams. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even need to be that, whatever. But competition is, athletes love it. Sports fanatics love it. They'll watch it. If you put it on TV, we're going to watch it. So I think that this is
the Olympics. Those are not
that's a perfect example.
Primary sports, but
yeah,
but it's a perfect example. But it's like the highest of highest caliber athletes competing, right? Like no matter what they do, they're doing something like 99% of other people can't do.
Yeah,
but I think it's just having appreciation for everyone's own, talents.
Yeah. And just,
you know what I mean?
And just giving everyone that opportunity, like giving all those girls and it just those revenue generating sports that opportunity to have that platform for those, because you don't get the opportunity long as a college athlete, like we talk about all the time.
Right.
So, giving those athletes more of an opportunity to boost their platform is just significant for them. It just gives them more opportunities, like Doug from St. Peter's a couple years ago, like boosting his, in March. If he didn't have that, he doesn't have all those marketing opportunities, all those brands not working with him. So you got to take advantage of those opportunities as you have them, and getting more eyes on you is huge for that. So it's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm just a big proponent of the growth of women's sports. Like, sitting here talking about it excites me. Name, image, and likeness presents a very unique opportunity for women to flourish when it comes to eyes being on their brand. Gymnasts, right, who are usually not the focal point of their athletic departments, are some of the biggest influencers now across the country, just because it's such an international sport. So
right.
There's some of the biggest athletes that we've been able to work with at MOGL. Volleyball teams are selling out stadiums, right? Like Nebraska. 95,000.
Iowa with the women's team, the basketball team outside too. The girls are just significantly better at. They're just so much better. I'll just be honest. They're just at sports in general. They are just so good. Like, they're good.
Hot take.
Is it? I mean, they're very. This might be wrong to say, and we might have to cut this out. Whatever. I don't care. But
we're not cutting shit.
They are. They're very good, and it is exciting. It's good to watch. It's fun to watch. I enjoy it. Where in years past, I couldn't really say this, and it's fun. It's exciting. It's good. Yeah. So I get why ESPN is doing this, and it just makes a lot of sense.
For me, I loved that Kobe Bryant loved it.
Yeah. Definitely was a huge proponent in that, making it mainstream. I
loved seeing Kobe Bryant. It doesn't matter how you get involved, just get involved, right? Like the TV shows are not gonna be like, oh, you got involved because you want to see Kobe and you want to watch the TV just because Kobe's on the sideline. No, they're happy that I turned to this, game and this competition to watch. But so I'm like, it's essentially influencer marketing. Hey, Kobe, can you come to the game?
Right.
I know people are going to love to see you. But that's helped me grow my love towards women's sports. I also was really fortunate to go to Notre Dame, where I got to see people like Arike Ngumbawale and Marina and, Mabry and some of these other phenomenal women's basketball players compete, right? And all 5 of those girls from one year, I forget which year at Notre Dame, but ended up getting drafted in the first round of the WNBA's draft that one year, like Jackie Young. I forget which year it was. But so I was fortunate to have that type of female, women's presence on campus, right? Where they were one of the most dominant programs on all of campus, right? At a school like Notre Dame. So, but again, man, I'm just excited about the growth of it. Youth sports coming up as well. Females are continuing to dominate the growth there as well. So
I think that is another thing that kind of attributes to kind of walk back what I said before, but more putting more into youth female sports, right? So 30, 40 years ago, I feel like it started with male sports. Like you would see youth male sports were training kids at such a young age, like 20 years ago. Or when my dad was younger, he wasn't getting all this training that when I was younger, we were getting, kids were starting to get so much training, one-on-one type of stuff. So then guys started getting so much better and freak athletes started happening. Now you start investing in girls, training personal stuff. Now you see girls start coming out of nowhere. They're crazy. They got crazy handles. Dunking. They're shooting the shit out of the ball. So I mean, just that personal investment that I think they have taken has just, raised the bar incrementally over the past 20 years.
Absolutely. I think Caitlin Clark is one of the most talented people I've ever seen in my life.
Easily, nothing but net every single time, man. It's crazy, and you can count on that.
Yeah.
A judge ruled NCAA athletes who've transferred multiple times can play through the spring semester. So they had put a restraining order against the NCAA, a district judge in West Virginia, stopping or barring this transfer rule for 14 days. But I mean, I don't think any of the coaches or schools were comfortable like moving forward within that 14-day period because they just didn't really know. It was kind of in limbo. But now that they're saying that they're good to go through the spring, what do you think about that?
I mean, these guys, you just gotta let these guys play.
But there's, I don't know, like there has to be some form of structure. Like everyone could just leave all the time. Like I agree with you. Like it has to be in the best interest. Everyone has to do for what's in their best interest. Like, but you, right. How does that? Like, how does a kid transferring 3 times? I don't know. I get like
maybe put it at 3. Don't put it at 2 though. But like
yeah. Just don't you think like when
think about the small window of these people's lives.
Yeah,
right? You have 5 years, most likely. 5 years, most likely to maximize your opportunities. Think about all the people who've transferred in football. Like I'm obviously most comfortable in football right now, from a knowledge-based standpoint. Think about the guys who've transferred and the careers that they've had. And consider if they hadn't transferred when they did.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields, right, from Georgia to Ohio State. Caleb Williams from Oklahoma to USC. Dylan Gabriel, for your 2-time reference here, from UCF to Oklahoma, now to Oregon. A guy who's just continuing to live out his dream. Quinn Ewers from Ohio State to Texas. Myself.
Burrow.
Joe Burrow from Ohio State. Like you probably imagine not seeing Joe Burrow's talent.
But it's not.
Like imagine the world did not see Joe Burrow's talent.
I agree.
So, but basketball, I think basketball is different in that basketball is different in a complete, in a lot of ways, right? Like you could go to a really small school and tear it up and still get recognized. Like this kid from Yale, who I need to get on our podcast. This kid from Yale or Princeton is like tearing it up.
Princeton's nice this year, but St. Joe's beat them though.
Really?
Yeah, St. Joe's is really good this year.
But I think you're right, and like you can't just have like a free for all around people transferring, and that's just not good for the sport and not good for college athletics in general.
I don't think it's good for athletes either. Like I just think it creates this like
up and
fuck it, like I can just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like that's not good. Like that just like you see all the time in high school, and I know college and high school are completely different. But I don't know. I just think that you see a kid transferring to 4 different high schools, like what is that? That
doesn't look good.
That doesn't say it's a bad look. I don't think like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there is a lot going on at the college level. There's obviously big time players. Especially if you're at a big school. There's obviously, especially if you're playing a quarterback, you're going to be competing against probably 2 or 3 other guys. So it's tough, and they're bringing in 4 or 5 stars every year. So I get it, but there is like that part of me, and I never played at even a varsity level, so it's like I can't speak to it, but it's like stick it out, and like that dog in you, just like I feel like there's that light at the end of the tunnel that is just like if you do stick it out, there's like it's very worth it. You end up reaping the benefits of all the work that you put in, and that like that mental. Like I just beat this. I can get through anything,
Absolutely. No, I think that's a very valid point. I think there's both pros and cons to it, and I think the mental component of it is. Yeah,
you're absolutely right about the timing. Like there's, and I like to forget about that a lot. Like these kids only have 5-6 years maximum now with this, but like, and I mean, I don't even know if 6 years is a thing anymore. I think that was a COVID thing, but 5 years max. So. It's you gotta use it.
But so the two things that you consider as an athlete going through that situation, right? Like you said, the pro is like, all right, mentally, if I get through this, I know I'll be better for it. I'm looking competition in its face, and I'm beating it. I'm taking it head on, and I'm coming out potentially still having an opportunity to play. But then you don't have the opportunity to play, or you get hurt, and you're sitting on the sideline. So it's like, what could have been, right? It's always what could have been if I had done this. What could have been if I? Because again, 5 years goes by like this, right? And for me, my what could have been is Tommy Rees offered me the opportunity to stay at Notre Dame and switch to, play something more along the lines of Taysom Hill, right? A Swiss Army knife, receiver, slot, running back, do some trick plays. Like, my mind, what could have been if I had done that? Could I have gone into the league, been like a what's his name, Cordell Patterson type of player or a Taysom Hill type of player, instead of going down to UCF, taking a little bit of more of a selfish route, rightfully so, and saying I want to continue playing quarterback. But always, these people, guys and girls and college athletes are just thinking what could have been, but also thinking to do the best for themselves and what's right for themselves, just like everyone else in the world does.
For sure.
Especially coaches. And so when you might not set the precedent, then you can't expect these athletes to follow, not to follow suit, right, in terms of going to see what's best for themselves.
Yeah, it's always easier to say those type of things, outside looking in,
Right, in retrospect. But,
But cool.
Early Heisman 2024.
Early Heisman, way too early Heisman 2024. I'm going with Mr. Milroe out of Alabama. I think that he comes back bigger, stronger, faster. Just a dog. They got there last year. I think. Yeah. Was there a video of him after? Was it the?
Give me the Heisman.
Yeah. Yep.
Give me that thing.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Love it. Love the attitude, right?
Yeah. So
you have to have that dog in you.
Hell yeah. I mean, everybody's talking about Saban not coming back. He's definitely coming back. Like, he'll be here forever. He'll be here till he can't walk. So they're gonna be back in the 12-team playoff next year and making noise. And I'm bullish about him. And my question to you is, do you think Tommy Rees will be back next year running the offense? Because one play away, man. One play away from national championship.
Yeah, I don't know. Right, these questions are always hard because unless you just don't know. Right, you're not in the head of the person. I think Tommy's probably thinking about a lot right now. He probably has a few offers on the table, maybe to get back to, like, he's a guy that I always thought would want to get back into the NFL mix of things. He's a guy who's, again, only 30 years old and could potentially, I could see him really being someone like a Sean McVay or a Mike McDaniel or, one of these younger head coach type of guys. It's just a smart football IQ is off the charts. The kind of attitude and the kind of competitor that you want at an offensive coordinator and a head coaching position, right? So I think also you got to consider the past OCs that Alabama has had, right, that have been under Saban and kind of their trajectory. They've all kind of said, all right, let's go hang out in Tuscaloosa for a year or two and then bounce, right, for something that's maybe bigger and better usually, or to the NFL, like Bill O'Brien and Steve Sarkisian, So considering those two trajectories, Tommy could be out, right? That's kind of what I think, to kind of get to my answer quickly. So we'll see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who's your pick for Heisman next year?
I'm going Mr. Ewers. I'm going Austin, Texas. Obviously, a good relationship that we have down in Austin. Yeah. We spend a lot of time down there.
Actually, recognize a ton of faces on TV. I don't know if you do, but like every time there's like a game on, I always, from just when
see people.
Yeah, when we were down there, walk on the street, handing out flyers. Like, I actually specifically remember.
That dates us back. That's so.
That was like 2 years ago. But I actually specifically remember meeting Byron Murphy. He's like a D tackle, number 90. And I just remember specifically, like, this this is huge, dude.
Yeah.
But
Good time.
It's just funny. Yeah, it's just, like, now flash forward 2 years later, and he's like a dog getting ready.
That's the dopest thing about our business, man. We get to build these relationships with these studs who don't even know that they're studs, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
at 18 years old, these guys and girls are just like, yeah, we want, But man, 2 years later, 3 years later, these people are winning national championships. Like, how many of these Michigan guys did we work with, right?
Exactly.
Like even Roman Wilson, Blake Corum, there's so many of these guys on Michigan.
Sanders still.
We spent time up in Ann Arbor and had the time to meet and connect with. So I'm excited about all of our athletes on the Mogul platform. But yeah, I'm going Quinn Ewers, man. I think he comes back, like you said, bigger, stronger, smarter, continues to spin it, and I think he'll be up on the stage with, or he'll be in New York with guys like Dylan Gabriel and Jalen Milroe. And I think you can call the Heisman Trophy just the quarterback.
You got any? You got any non quarterbacks for any dark horse? You think maybe?
Travis Hunter.
I like that. That's interesting.
I think you go there. That's a guy who comes to mind when you think about non-quarterbacks.
I don't even.
Probably the only type of talent that is going to go both ways and be like a Charles Woodson.
Yeah. Did did any other player play both ways? Did what's his name play both ways? From Michigan. What's the guy's name? Like back in the 90s or
Charles Woodson. Yeah.
Well, no. Even before him.
Jabril.
No, before him. Before
Jabril.
He hit the Heisman pose in the end zone. He's on game day. I talked about him earlier. I can't think of his name.
Ryan. Is it Ryan something? Not Ryan.
No.
I'm thinking Ryan Clark. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's got like the.
I don't think he did.
No, Desmond Howard.
Yeah.
Desmond Howard.
Desmond Howard. Yeah.
I think.
I don't know if Desmond Howard played.
Actually, now I think about it, I think he was just a punt returner. I think that's when he hit the Heisman. Do you think Ewers brings back the locks? You think he brings back the mullet next year?
I don't think so. I think he's grown up.
He retired.
Not to say that people who have mullets aren't growing up. I think he knew. There's a presence that you have to have as a quarterback. Actually, that's BS. I shouldn't even say that. I don't know why I said that. We're gonna cut that out.
No, we're not. What do you think about? Did you see that thing of him and Arch or just Arch at the what was it, the Cotton Bowl or whatever bowl game they were playing in? And all of the press was at Arch's table and nobody wanted to talk to Quinn.
I didn't see. I saw the press at Arch's table. I didn't see that no one wanted to talk to Quinn.
Yeah, there's like a
but the guy, you don't get anything from Arch. So when you can,
that was the whole.
Understand.
That was the whole thing. Yeah, they don't get to interview him all year until the bowl games. So that was the whole thing. But you know how the media likes to blow it up, man. People who don't get the context, they just take it and roll with it.
Take it as they wish. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Cool. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining with this new structure. We hope that you all enjoyed the conversation that we had today. Obviously, what we're going to try to do moving forward is hit on topics that are extremely hot within the land of college sports and college athletics. Again, have guests on every once in a while, and hopefully they're people who are experts and can talk about the topics that are extremely hot, whether it's sports law, sports media, content creation, sports tech, sport investing, college athletics, sports in general, just sports podcasting, Philadelphia sports fans. Tommy can speak to that.
Eagles are going to lose on Sunday. I'm just going to or Monday, actually. I'll just throw that out there.
Lose.
Baker's taking them down.
We're cutting that up, and we're putting that all on your social media feeds,
I'm a terrible Eagles fan, but they're losing.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for joining this episode. We'll be back next week with more. Tuning out. Mogul Podcast, Episode 1, 2024. Peace.
See you guys.